Ordinarily, I strongly dislike starting a concert with talking. I would much rather just come out here and immediately start making beautiful music. But you may have noticed on the concert program that the first song tonight is the national anthem. When I was trying to figure out about halfway through the fall what music we might sing in this concert here at the end, here in March, November and December were rife in the United States with turmoil, and we were just kind of in an ugly spot. And I made the decision back then to present a program here tonight of music that I'm just, for lack of a better term, calling an Americana collection of music, where everything, all the texts are in English, all of the composers and arrangers are American, and in some small way, we are just giving different presentations of what somebody's impression of the American dream might be. And that encompasses a lot of different texts, some of which are serious, some of which are just funny. But I thought that might be a really nice presentation to make for tonight. And so that is what we are going to present. The first song is the national anthem, and I would ask for you to stand. There are two choirs here at Mountain Community College, and this was what you just saw singing the national anthem was a combination of both our symphonic choir and chamber choir. Both groups are courses here at Mount Hood that these students are registered and paid for, but they are rehearsals that we have 3 days a week for 50 minutes at a time, which is really not that much time to do a rehearsal. And so, as always, and I feel like I say this every single time these groups get together to perform, I'm exceedingly proud of the work that they do over the course of 9 or 10 weeks leading up to one of these concerts. Standing before you now is our symphonic choir, and we are going to start with a song called Come Ready and See, which comes as a presentation of kind of an American art song. There was a movement in the United States in the 1950s and 60s where, especially in academia and higher academia, there was an idea that every combination of notes that there was to be had out there had already been conceived, and that there was no new music to be written. And that, and among other things, that resulted in what we refer to as serial music, where in some cases, and I'm not kidding, composers would roll a die to figure out what the next pitch in their song might be, or choose a number between 1 and 10 to figure out how long the next note might be, and that is the way they constructed their songs. For whatever it's worth, there was also a movement where certain American composers were trying to replicate art song as musicians studied them from Germany and Austria in the Baroque and classical and Romantic period. And so maybe this is a version of American art song that mimics what Franz Schubert might have written in the 1800s. And so this is Come Ready and See Me by Richard Hunt.
Like
one thing that I would like to say about it is that I've had a couple of experiences as a musician where I've been caught off guard by the way a song sounds. And there have been a couple of standout concerts that I've been to by not necessarily my favorite musicians, where I've shown up at the concert and they radically changed the way their music sounded, and that showed me that they had the ability to do that. They had the creativity to write the song in the first place, and then they were able to change it and give the audience something truly special. This is one of those cases where this song has obviously been around for quite a long time, and it experienced a resurgence about 10 years ago when we started hearing Somewhere Over the Rainbow performed the way you're about to hear it. This is going to be an a cappella arrangement. This arrangement, this setting of Over the Rainbow is the one that is normally accompanied by ukulele. But we will do this completely a cappella, and we have 3 solos for you up here. And so thank you very much for coming out to support these students tonight. This is the last song that Symphonic Choir is going to present. So here is Somewhere Over the Rainbow. there's just no good way to do this in this small of a room. So symphonic choir is going to try to find a place to go, and chamber choir is going to walk on up. I'm going to have to backtrack a little bit. I'm going to have to backtrack a little bit before we present the next piece of music. This is going to be To Something Like a Star by Randall Thompson. I made a deliberate decision at the beginning of this quarter, and the very first thing that I told these students about this song was that I had sung it in a community choir when I was 16 years old, and I hated it. And it was one of the first songs that I passed out to them this quarter. And so obviously the first thing they're thinking is, you hated it that much, why are you forcing it down our throats here? So I need to say a little bit about this piece of music, and I think not knowing what I'm about to say is one of the reasons why I just was unable to connect with this when I performed this for the first time. This is set to a poem by Robert Frost, and I will eventually read that poem. It's a little meta, follow me here. In this Robert Frost poem, there is a quotation from a John Keats poem. Sorry. And in that original John Keats poem, there is a reference to nature's patient, sleeping eremite. Eremite being a word that we roughly equate to the word hermit now. And he was describing this star that hung in the sky far away from all of the other stars. It was a hermit in the sky that was out of our reach, but it was always there, and it never abandoned us in our difficult times. And we were able to always see that star, no matter how far away it seemed. And so when I read the Robert Frost poem that they are about to sing, you're eventually going to hear the words Keats' eremite, and that is referring to the star that John Keats was describing. And so when you hear those words in the poem, the image that you're intended to have is thoughts about this star that is up in the sky, that is far enough away that you can't have it, but you always know that it's going to be there for you. The poem by Robert Frost. O star, the fairest one in sight, we grant your loftiness the right to some obscurity of cloud. It will not do to say of night, since dark is what brings out your light. Some mystery becomes the proud, but to be wholly taciturn in your reserve is not allowed. Say something to us we can learn by heart, and when alone, repeat. Say something. And it says, I burn. But say with what degree of heat. Talk Fahrenheit, talk centigrade. Use language we can comprehend. Tell us what elements you blend. It gives us strangely little aid, but it does tell something in the end. And steadfast as Keats' eremite, not even stooping from its sphere, it asks a little of us here. It asks of us a certain height. So when at times the mob is swayed to carry praise or blame too far, we may choose something like a star to stay our minds on and be stayed. And So It Goes is a Billy Joel piece of music, a little bit different than Robert Frost, but still a really wonderful poem. This is not one of the raucous piano songs, but this is a very beautiful poem that talks about the idea of when you get that point in your life where you feel comfortable enough giving your heart to somebody else. Not just how big of a step that is, but also the idea that in opening yourself up to somebody else, you know that you are also opening up yourself to the chance of being hurt. And this poem, as beautiful as it is, comes from that standpoint. You will hear the words, and every time I've held a rose, it seems I've only felt the thorns. And I know that that's something that probably every single person in this room has experienced. So I challenge you to listen to the words and see if this is something that you can relate to. And this is just a wonderful piece of music, a wonderful gift that Billy Joel gave to all of us. I want to say that this appeared on his River of Dreams album from the mid-90s. So you can go out and find it. Go out and find it if you want.
In every heart there is a room, a sanctuary.
really nice that in the 3 years that I've been at Mount Hood, we're starting to really see students stick around and sing for multiple quarters. I am a firm believer that to have an activity like this in your college experience just makes things go better. Oftentimes when I have students who tell me that, Kevin, I've got a really stressful next quarter, I'm taking way too many hours in my course load, I just don't know if I can sing. I will stop and ask, do you really think that 50 minutes, 3 days a week, being implanted back into your life is going to allow you to study that much more? The obvious answer is no. You know these students. But also, just to not have that activity as part of your routine can be a big change to your well-being in terms of your taking care of yourself. For those of you who have been coming to concerts over the past 2 or 3 years, you might have noticed that I tend to do a lot of spirituals and gospel music. Among my favorite. I choose to believe that this fits strongly into an Americana concert because of a deeply held belief that gospel music is the first true American style of music. When spirituals, and spirituals came first, and they were sadly utilitarian, they served a purpose, they let people survive a horrible existence in the 1800s. The music that people got to sing together kept them alive. In the 1900s, some of those melodies of spiritual music got turned into choral arrangements that we could then listen to in concert form. And this is going to be one of those. This is a song called The Battle of Jericho. There was one preeminent arranger of spirituals and gospel music who unfortunately passed away from an aneurysm in his 40s when I was in high school. And so this is Moses Hogan's setting of Joshua did the Battle of Jericho, one of his most famous arrangements and one that we really do hold very, very closely as a treasure from his body of work.
Joshua did the battle of Jericho. Joshua did the battle of Jericho. Joshua did the battle of Jericho. The battle of Jericho. The battle of Jericho. The battle of Jericho. The battle of Joshua. The battle of Joshua. The battle of Jericho. Joshua did the battle of Jericho. Joshua did the battle of Jericho. The battle of Jericho. The battle of Jericho. The battle of Jericho. The battle of Joshua. The battle of Joshua. The battle of Jericho. Joshua did the battle of Jericho.
Talk about your kings of Gibeon.
Come on, you can talk about
your men of Saul.
Come on, yes, you can talk about
and good old Joshua at the battle of Jericho.
that morning.
Joshua
Joshua,
did the battle of Jericho.
the battle of Jericho. The battle of Joshua. The battle of Joshua. The battle of Jericho. The battle of Joshua. The battle of Joshua. The battle of Jericho. Joshua did the battle of Jericho.
Right up to